It's time for another episode of Small School Big Tech. I'm Andrew Schwab, your co-host for today. Another Schwab on Twitter, and I am joined by
Hi, I'm Mike McBoo, all your baser on
belong
Twitter.
to us,
Yeah, all your baser.
all your baser.
Yeah.
Um, so we're back. We're recording live even before I posted the other episode because I just have not had the time. So what has happened since last time?
No,
More of the same?
more of the same. Halloween happened.
Halloween did happen. Did it rain there? Because it rained here.
It rained here, and we're just happy that it didn't rain on our homecoming, which was nice.
Mm, yeah, that's always a plus. So, the other thing that happened actually was Fall's Q conference or Q's Fall conference. It's too early in the morning to think, and you were not there. What's up with that, man?
Again, we had homecoming, so needed to be there, new admin and that sort of stuff.
Priorities.
Yeah, priorities, school stuff.
Well, it was actually so you had been. I think you were there last year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this year was less people because it was capped at 1,200. Although we still had wireless issues on Friday, I think related to the school district's wireless, finding it challenging to support, heavy tech users with three devices. Even though they are apparently a one-to-one school, or at least they had like 1,000 student devices on the day before. So that was a little frustrating, but the sessions were really good. I didn't realize I had this many people there from my district, but we had 26 people there, not
Oh,
counting me. Yeah. So, and they all came away with a generally positive experience. Sometimes you get in a session that doesn't quite click, but overall, everybody had a good time and learned a lot. And I was impressed by the number of STEAM STEM sessions, which I guess is starting to take off now in the general lexicon. People seem to be building maker spaces left and right, so there were some folks there talking about that, which was pretty cool. And then, which may be related or interested to you and I for today's discussion, there was an epic throwdown between John Carippo and um, Chris Scott, iPad versus Chromebook. And they had the big stage and they had a referee. Mike Niehoff was their referee. And I think actually at the end, the Chromebook won, but I wasn't there to see it.
Well, and didn't you and just get done rolling out or helping out what you call a small school big tech intervention as well?
Yes, I did. I went up, actually, Mike Vollmert and I, from my other podcast, we went up to the Northern California, which is the real north, up in Wairika, and helped out a small school up there. It's a one school district. And we put wireless in, and then we rolled out two classroom sets of UberMixed Acers. So anybody who's followed the podcast for a long time knows that I have a soft spot for UberMix. Um, Even though lately I've been deploying Chromebooks like crazy. Um, but there are definitely advantages to UberMix on the I guess operating system side when you don't have a lot of connectivity. Um, you're not hampered because everything is still local apps if you need it to be.
Oh yeah, I still like Overmix. Still got it running on several systems.
I know I'm kind of bummed out because if I had had some old computer labs at my current district, I would have UberMixed them immediately, but we're running those N computing thin client devices and they just leave you nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
Basically locked into those things. So for those, we're looking at either replacing them with the Chrome base, which is a really nice 22-inch unit with a built-in, it's all in one,
Mm-hmm.
or just slapping Chrome boxes on the back of those monitors because they're still good. And,
Who are you getting the all-in-one Chrome units from?
it's LG Chrome base. We bought them from CDW.
Okay.
We got one of our middle schools has them now in their library. They're actually I like them. They're pretty nice. I wish somebody else would come out with a version, but right now it's just LG. So it's basically a Chromebook that isn't a laptop. You know, it's just
Yeah.
it's Chrome OS, man. It's a browser. You live with it.
Well, I'm in the market to refurbish a couple different labs,
Hmm.
and I'm leaning to an all-in-one unit that will run UberMix.
Mm.
But I may take a look at an all-in-one running Chrome, since the teacher really just does everything off of docs anyways.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? If your primary ecosystem is Google Apps, then a Chrome base or a Chromebook or Chromebox is going to do everything you need it to do for so much less on the management side. So anyway, after Fall Q, which was good. Second day was really good because it rained, and a lot of people I think didn't show up. So it was a more cozy conference, kind of like back in the old days when it was only 500 or 600 people. And anyway, I got into an argument with John Carippo on Twitter over Chromebook versus iPad, um, which I usually don't do, but I think his point was, you know, iPads are better for in the classroom for doing multimedia creation type stuff, and why would you not want to have your kids be able to make an iMovie trailer, for example? And my point was, well, not everybody can afford to deploy, you know, thousands of iPads, not only from the cost but also from the management side of it, um, which he doesn't really seem to get. So we kind of went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and I don't know, man. From my perspective, Apple has not solved the large-scale deployment problems with iPads, and every time they come out with an update, it seems like they totally hose you. So I'm just, you know, it's a personal device. It was meant to be a personal device. You know, seeing it as an enterprise device, unless you're going to give one to a kid and say, do whatever you want with it, which was kind of my strategy, which you inherited, which I apologize for. I just don't, you know, it's not a good, stable solution. So my response was, um, you know, yeah, the Chromebooks are easy from the management side, and also, you know, if you're a Google Apps district from the use side in the classroom, and I'd rather do easy than not do anything. And I really think that unless you have the time, energy, effort, resources to put behind deploying iPads and doing it well, they could just become um, problematic devices the way that we used to have computer labs that didn't work. So
Yeah, I mean, easy iPads could be easy if there was. I mean, I think you have to have a culture at your school for the students to work with, or you have to have them managed in a cart situation. But Apple's idea is, don't give every student a Apple ID and keep apps open. And we already know that even with other programs in place, once students, and even they're loading apps right now, but it's the social media stuff where kids tend to hang out in that comes back into the campus, or the games. And without everybody at the campus being on board with, you know, classroom management and, you know, deterring kids from doing, and doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, or it's just an uphill battle. And we're here at 4 years on our restorative justice program, and we're making good headway, but we know we're not catching everybody on it. But if I could, I'd say, hey, give these kids the first day back to school. Here's your iPad. You are responsible for it. And you know what these kids do? The first thing they do is turn off the locator. And then we have other kids who will loan their iPad out to someone. But it's just, you know, they don't know who they loaned it out to. It's like, okay, well, I can't track it if you turn your locator off. The whole management stuff is interesting, to say the least, and then Apple's not helping any by pushing out updates, and then the companies that create these programs aren't helping by not creating backwards compatible updates to their apps and forcing everyone to update their apps. And then MDMs don't push out iOS 8. You have to bring them in or manually over-the-air update it, which can break some people's systems if they don't have the...
Well, yeah, how do you handle that? Because iOS 8 really required a ton of space to do the update.
Yeah, you required almost a little over 5 gigs of space to download the app, and then it used up about 3 gigs of space.
Yeah, and because we're schools, of course, we all bought 16 gig iPads, right? I mean, that's...
Oh yeah. So I'm not really too. This it's just frustrating this year. But my problem is what happens in 2 years when my sophomores right now have iPad 2s because they still had iPad 2s when they were freshmen in their stock, and all the price breaks hadn't come down yet. So now our incoming freshmen have iPad 4s. What happens in 2 years when the iOS doesn't work on iPad 2? And I have seniors that have bricked iPads or non-working iPads because iOS gets pushed out, but there's no backwards compatibility on the apps.
Well, it's not like they're going to stop working. They're just going to keep running the old stuff. And how well the old stuff is supported is going to be the question, right?
The old stuff, like we have issues with Google Drive not being supported on our system. We're Google Apps Education School. If students can't access Google Drive on their iPads, what's the point?
Right. Well, you're not supposed to run your iPad for 4 years, man. It's supposed to be like, a 3-year device.
No.
So that's, I don't know. That the whole thing just to me seems like, and I'm guilty of it too. We all just kind of jumped right in. And in the beginning, Apple had no tools for us, and they've been getting better with deployment tools. And now all these MDM companies have sprouted up, and so we're paying $5-10 a year per device just to be able to manage them. And although to be fair, Google Chromebooks are the same way. But we're 4 or 5 years into the iPad. I don't know any school that's still using the original iPad. So to think that those devices are going to last beyond that, it's not like a netbook. I know schools that are still running 5-6-year-old netbooks because they can. I really think if you're going to go down this route, even with a Chromebook, you really have to plan on a 3-year refresh for the device because these devices were not meant or designed to run a long time, right? I mean, it's not like a laptop that can, you can run 2 or 3 operating system upgrades on it, and it'll work for 5, 6, 7 years, even though the battery will be shot. But these devices are kind of purpose built, and
that's what we're thinking about, and we're seriously contemplating that when this happens, that we go ahead and go to a 3-year refresh, or we consider going to something different. But if we do 3 years with iPads, and then our seniors have a laptop device that we keep in, and we just issue out.
You just couldn't say the C word, could you?
I can't say that because I'm not sure exactly where we will be going. We have a lot of different programs, and I'm considering everything from the aspect of what the program needs. So I'm not certain that our future programs would completely utilize Chromebooks in our senior class. I mean, you're talking about a lot of AP students.
Right.
We're talking about, we have our medical academy, we're doing a science academy, we're doing a technology and engineering academy.
So you're going to have to buy everybody a MacBook, basically. There you go.
Pretty much.
Just buy everybody a MacBook and then put them on put them on a lease program so that they can take it with them.
I need something that can do some statistical analytics, right, in some of my science classes and math, upper level math classes, and
what happened to what's Google's thing? What is that called? Pivot tables. Pivot tables?
It's not quite. It's not Excel.
No, there's something else. There's another service. I just saw it.
Yeah, it's not even numbers. I tell you the truth.
Well, no, I know, but there's a service in your Google Apps admin panel if you look at it that is on by default. I forget what it's called. Okay, never mind.
But there's a ton of things, and we're not there. I got at least a year and a half breathing.
So you're gonna be like Minarets and do 2 years iPads, 2 years MacBooks, or no?
Well, I'm thinking I could push 3 years iPads 1 year,
Hmm.
but I don't know if it's. I mean, to tell you the truth, UberMix sounds really good. So
Well, I mean, UberMix is cheap and it works, and
yeah, it works.
it's easy to manage. You don't need to have pay a whole bunch of money for a management overhead,
yeah,
and the kids get to hack the machine.
and they do
So
whatever they. And the
yeah.
seniors are ready. We already know which seniors are going to do what, so it's not that
Hmm.
big a deal. And they're already in. They already have the built-in. I got to buy insurance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
You've
what
got
I'm
that
thinking.
established as a culture.
Yeah, it's pretty much a culture. So what I'm thinking is that 3 years, sell the iPads to the seniors,
Hmm.
right? If they have a 3.0 GPA,
Right.
right, going into the senior year, and then if they graduate, sell those iPads at the end of the year for them to use whatever they want to do. So I don't know. We'll figure out something
Hmm.
with them because what's really working for us is having actually we've gone Amazon Kindle with our ebooks, and we have a digital library, two different digital libraries. So the kids are actually eating up those reading on the iPads.
Really?
Yeah, they like the ability to bookmark, highlight, take
Hmm.
notes. So it's actually working really
How do you
well.
manage the Kindle stuff?
Oh, the Kindle stuff, I have freshman, um, uh, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior usernames plus one all the way through 150.
Uh-huh.
And then I just assign I assign them to the students, so they correlate, and I just buy the books as they need to be bought.
Okay.
And I
So you
figure after 4
basically
years, I'll have books in every classroom.
right. So you've set up generic accounts that you then assign.
Yeah, that was actually suggested to us by Amazon.
Hmm. Because we're looking at doing some kind of library lending model. I'm not sure how that would work. I just haven't had time to dive into it, but
Well,
note.
we did go ahead and purchase Overdrive a couple years ago, and we put $9,000 into our digital library.
Hmm.
Then the county library has their 3M or whatever they use for their
Mm-hmm.
digital library, so our kids go out and purchase that.
Interesting. Note to self: don't sit on a leather couch for a podcast. It's too noisy every time I move. Um, okay. So let's see. Web filtering's got me stumped. Not stumped. I'm not happy with any web filter so far. Um, I know you're using Untangle.
Yeah, and we're upgrading. We upgraded to 10, and now there's a push for 11, and that's an automatic upgrade, which is kind of nice because I don't have to redo it. I had to reconfigure everything from 9 to 10. But it's doing pretty good. I mean, what it what we're finding out is kids are using VPNs
Yeah, I've
to
been
bypass
hearing
the
about
filter.
that. I, to me, I think this is a losing battle. I just don't, with,
Well, I'm doing
I
my
know, you're
best.
doing your due diligence. So are we.
Doing my due diligence, and that's all I can really ask for. And I just haven't seen a reason to up or pay any more for higher end filtering. Plus, all the extra perks you get with Untangled is just
Yeah, no, I know. Well, I mean, you either have a filter that's in place that filters way too much, and then you're constantly having to,
hmm
whitelist stuff, or you have one that's in place that may not give you as much visibility, but it's still filtering.
hmm
I have yet to find a filter that kids can't get around if they really want to.
they got
And
more time on their hands than we do.
right, and I'm also um, the reason why I would really the thing that I would really like, and which we kind of have now, is a filter that integrates with the kid's Google account, because that's, we're at a K-8, we don't put our kids in the Active Directory, so for us their Google account is pretty much their account. That's their network account. That's everything.
hmm
And so when they log in, right now we're using Securely, which I think you've seen before, but it's DNS based. It's tightly integrated with Google Apps. So when our students log in on a Chromebook, they're filtered, and I know who they are, and everything works great. It's when they log in on an end computing device or an iMac where they get a default policy,
Mm-hmm.
but because we haven't turned on the forced login, which basically would every time you surf the web on a machine that's not a Chromebook, you would actually get prompted to log in with your Google Apps account. We haven't turned that on mainly because at the K2 level, that would be problematic.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't figured out a way to split those folks out by, there's no way to do a subnet by grade. It just doesn't work, which is unfortunate. So we're basically, there's like a default policy if you're on a non-Chromebook machine. But if you're on a Chromebook, it works awesome. And it also works if you're at home on a Chromebook and you're logged into your Google Apps domain account. So for that, it's been really good. But now because of the way the default policy works, it's okay, and it would be the same as if we just threw another filter up to filter. But there just doesn't seem to be a perfect solution out there, and it's driving me. It's a little frustrating not to have. Well, one, it's frustrating because we have to filter. I mean, that's, for the vast majority of kids, they're not going out and doing anything they shouldn't be. And then because we have these filters in place, everybody assumes that we're going to filter everything that's bad, which is impossible. And so even if somebody goes accidentally and they get like a YouTube video trailer image that's, questionable marginally or whatever, people just assume that everything should be filtered, so why are they seeing something like that? Instead of, recognizing that a certain percentage of kids are going to try to bypass the filter, and we should be dealing with them on a behavioral basis and not looking at this as a technology problem. So it's just, it's one of those things where I think technology has not kept up, and which is fine because it never really caught up anyway. But in the early days, it was really easy because nobody needed to use the web, so we could filter everything. And now everything is on the web.
Yeah. So how do you? I mean, there's a lot of different aspects to how we deal with technology. I think the primary thing is really just you do your due diligence, but you really start to train, and you do the PD, and it's really everybody to help everybody understand this, what's going on there. And
where's that in the curriculum?
Yeah, but the problem, the main thing is as you're getting new teachers, and I was able to attend a meeting where they are talking about this for new teachers as they come in, and as one of the things that they talk about with new teachers is, and they say this is part of your job as a new teacher coming in here, that you have to kind of monitor this and maintain this, and kind of encourage your students to be diligent. Digital citizenship, or digital citizens.
Well, it should be
from an early age.
Yeah, no, that should be embedded in the curriculum at every level, and that's actually what we're looking at. That's probably will be a big push next year as we go 1-to-1 in our 6th grade, is ensuring that we have a solid digital citizenship program in place. The ironic thing is we have a really good, bullying program, anti-bullying education program. But that's only face-to-face in the real world, and so to me, it's like we just need to make that connection because it's not that much different. In fact, the only difference is the medium through which you bully, that we just need to make the connection with our really good, program we already have in place and extend it to the online world. So
yeah, I think what happens is that we need to be able to and this has happened at our school somewhat. The culture for the student needs to be such that they are comfortable talking to adults or a mentor about things that are happening. And we have come across several because they have not been afraid to come and say, hey, I'm being bullied online, and this is what's happening. And we're catching a lot of that, and we're able to implement our restorative justice in there. And so it's not a technology solution. It's a in person, you know, person to person, face to face type of deal that has to happen to be able to get the students to understand A, when I'm being bullied and what I can do about it, and B, if I'm being the one doing the bullying, that's not acceptable behavior.
Right. Well, and I think the other piece too is that it's just it's more for teachers and administrators to have to kind of be aware of and address. And the more we add technology in the classrooms, without having that discussion, because we all know it's easier to be anonymous online and do those kind of things. So, or actually, the kids think they're anonymous, which is hilarious because they're not. Especially when you share a Google Doc with somebody from your account.
Oh yeah.
And use that to cyberbully. It's like, really? Because you know your name's right up in the top right there. But
Yeah.
no, I think you're right. It's the conversations and having the discussions and making sure that it's happening all the time. But that piece of having the culture of trust and where, you know, kids trust that they can talk to other adults and that whole thing is really important too. So I don't know. It's just another one of those things that goes along with this transformative environment that we're find ourselves in. So let's see. So what else, man? You're going to are you going to go to the Q conference in Palm Springs?
I am going to go to the Q conference in Palm Springs.
Are you going to present this year?
No. I actually forgot all about it was sitting on my desk to do or my to-do list, and I just didn't get a chance to submit a session. So I'll just go and participate.
Hang out in the hallways?
Hang out in the hallways or something like that. I mean, a lot of times I sit there and I want to talk about. There's two things I saw that I felt was lacking at the last SETPA meeting.
SETPA or what's SETPA?
Do you say SETPA or do you say Q?
I actually said Q. Are you going to SETPA too?
I am.
We can talk about SETPA.
Yeah, I'm going to SETPA. Well,
okay, so you're going to SETPA.
I am going. I put in for 2 for the fall Q, and then for the spring Q, and we're going to ETC. But SETPA, I guess my mind was on SETPA. I am going to SETPA.
Okay.
But,
SETPA. For people who are watching, like the one person from out of state, the California Educational Technology Professionals Association, which there's basically two, well, there's more than that, but on the ed tech side, there's kind of two organizations. Q is generally more geared towards teachers, and SETPA is more geared towards IT folks. So you're like both, like me, or like I used to be. Yeah, so I was actually looking at the lineup of sessions and speakers, and it looks pretty good, actually. I mean, there's Coachella Valley, I think, is doing a lot of presentations, and they've got like 18,000 iPad rollout. I sat in one of their sessions at Fall Q, and interesting. I mean, they're the ones who are like an AirWatch partner and got some kind of AirWatch award, so they're using AirWatch as their NTM, and you know, I cannot imagine that many iPads. You know, it's.
Well, I can't imagine the amount of money you have to actually do to purchase a third party. I mean, if I had that many, I would have to have a third party.
Well, you got to build it into the cost of the iPad, right? I mean, and then you got to pay it. I mean, that's kind of the way I look at the Chrome management license. It's $30. And now with that, you have up to 5 years of support depending on when the device was manufactured. So it's not a bad deal. You figure that's, you know, $5-6 a year, which is, you know, I mean, that's about what the MDMs run for iPads. Although I've seen them higher, and yeah, I don't know. For some reason, it's just the hoops you have to jump through. I mean, literally with a Chromebook, dude, we pull it out of the box, we turn it on, we enroll it, and we're done. That's it. You know, and now I've been told with DEP, with the deployment, the new deployment scheme that Apple has, it's kind of that way. At least that's what I've been told. You
Well,
basically turn it on, it automatically gets enrolled in your MDM, and you should be good to go.
nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, you have to go to the site or at least have a component on there. So
Because I thought, wasn't that the whole point of Apple knowing what devices that you have so that they could put them into your MDM scheme already or
well,
something like
that's what
that?
I thought.
Hmm.
I thought that was the whole point. But I registered all my devices with DEP. I registered to the MDM that Apple provided, and it just
Hmm.
didn't work the way
Hmm.
it was supposed to. I sat for 3 weeks with an Apple engineer trying to figure out what the deal was, only to find out that, hey, guess what? You cannot run a configurator, Apple configurator, and Apple and the MDM at the same time. So you can't push out any profiles on the Apple configurator. You have to, only thing you use Apple configurators for is to install the iOS. So then
Hmm.
you get it uploaded to your system. And it's not automatic. It doesn't automatically see that you have to. You just have to log in with an admin, or you know, you put you have to put the placeholders for each one of those devices
Hmm.
in there, and then it sees it, but it has to authenticate. So you have to have your everything has to be open between your firewall and Apple and your Wi-Fi, and you can't have a hidden Wi-Fi. You can't have. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like all these, you can't do this, you can't do that, and it's like, that's just a pain in the neck. But
Oh, so you just don't want to play by Apple's rules.
well, yeah, I wanted to be able to configure it myself now. So I've looked at some of the people's what they did with. Oh, the other thing too is that every single student had to have an Apple ID in
Hmm.
order for, you had to have apps to be installed on your system, or they have to be able to install their own apps. So I was
So you
like,
have to turn the App Store on for them,
yeah,
basically.
App Store has to be on, and it's like, okay, how do I get around this? How do we not have that component? And so I saw a couple people using Meraki, the free version, and gonna upgraded my server to, and that's another thing, to get the latest configurator, or to get the latest Apple server that has all the bells and whistles to manage the iOS 8.1. You have to upgrade your systems to Yosemite.
Hmm.
Yet,
Yosemite just came out.
yeah, Yosemite just came out, and I really don't want to do that yet.
Right. No, their timing is impeccable, man.
So it's
September,
like,
October, perfect time to
got it.
do district-wide upgrade.
So
Um,
I'm looking at taking a look at. I mean, I already have Meraki, so I'm just
dude, just
thinking of just
buy AirWatch.
just cutting out
Just,
my
just,
MDM and moving to Meraki.
just buy AirWatch. It seems like those are the happy districts. They give
Yeah,
AirWatch their money, and everything works.
I wish that was the case.
Hmm.
Really,
Interesting.
that's just it's. I mean, I'm going to come down on the side of Crippo, saying that for engagement, student learning, and at the high school level, I can't speak to the elementary school level. The iPad really offers a lot of flexibility you don't have in the curriculum, that you are not going to get in a clamshell type device.
Why? Because it's I mean, explain that to me, though,
It's
please.
well, for my school district, where in a couple of years they may not be the case, but in order to have the ability to do a multimedia type environment, in order to get into an environment where the push is to go into an environment where you're dealing a lot more with tablets. So let's just say the medical environment, where we have a big push for our students to get into. That's a tablet-oriented or career field. You go into any sort of science component, and you're seeing more tablet-oriented entry-level positions that make use of the tablets, and where you see your PhDs and your masters and PhDs in upper level using your laptops or your powerful desktop systems, but you see your data collectors and your where we're looking for, or your entry level, or your nurses, or your other aspects in the engineering field. It's a tablet oriented workforce.
So why can't SBAC make a tablet-oriented test?
Well, I have other thoughts about tests in general.
I know, but the reality is, especially at K-8, I got to test all
Yeah,
3rd
well,
through 8th graders. You only got to test 11th grade.
yeah, well, the reality should be, are your students ready for college and or career? Not, are they ready to take a stupid test?
That's your job. You're at high school.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, are they, I mean, what should they should be is have they learned enough to be able to make it as a 9th grader in high school? And we're finding out that we have a lot of reteaching to do with a lot of students at our school, because we're not getting 8th graders that are ready to be high school students. Then on the other side of the coin, we've done everything in the last 4 years to get our students ready for college, and we have a really good track record for that. Mm-hmm. And so when we sit down and say, oh, have they passed the CASI, how are they doing on their CSTs or the standardized testing, for most time we really haven't done really well on that. But you talk about students getting into college, 4-year college, the 2-year college.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 9. Aren't you guys in the 90% people going on to college?
90%.
Yeah.
College-bound students. I mean, and with a school that's 67% second English as a second language learners, that's a pretty big jump. I mean, we take a look at it, and historically it's been the very low curve and then very high steep climb between the second half of 11th grade and to the end of the 12th grade. So my question is, what good do the tests do for a district like?
Oh yeah, well, we can have that whole test debate. But
test. So
going back to the, I guess my point was, if industry is moving towards entry-level tablet data usage, I just find it ironic that our wonderful state-of-the-art online assessments provided by the state do not work well on a tablet, because they were not designed for a tablet, because they were actually designed like 15 years ago to administer the GRE. So anyway,
take a look at all your. Let's just take a broad look at your anything you do. Sales, right? It's tablet-like. I mean, in fact, you have a lot more people.
No, I agree. You don't. You don't have. You can do not real computing on a tablet. I totally agree with you. It's not heavy lifting. I just it's curious to me, because I guess it goes to where do you see the emphasis on what kids should be doing, and what do you want them to be doing? Because obviously you still have computer labs so the kids can go write essays, right? I mean,
I think you still need to have computer labs, and not just for essays writing, because we did buy keyboards for our AP classes and our English language for the Macs are in the classroom keyboards, and our writing has gone through the roof this year as far as being able to do that. But the thing is that the kids need to have multiple devices to work on as they're moving through life, so that when they get into college, they get into career, they're comfortable. Mm-hmm. You don't have someone taking time out of entry-level worker trying to show them how to do ABC when they don't even know what the device is, and then let alone go to college and have to understand how to work a different device because the college is streamlined on this. Our kids can go and work on a PC, they can get on Linux, they can get on iOS, they can do a Chromebook, they can anything, and they're going to be comfortable doing that because they've had experience on multiple devices. And I was at a session the other night, and John Crippo was talking about multiple devices. I wasn't quite there yet, ready to say, yeah, that looks like I want to do that. But the kids had a tablet and a clamshell.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's the way to go. Think about how you use technology in your life.
I mean, I got my cell phone.
Right. Yeah. So I wrote another post responding to John too, which was kind of like, if I had to give up all my devices and only got to keep one, I'd keep my smartphone in a heartbeat, right? Because that's the one device that I can do. I could do everything if I wanted to.
Might
On,
make
right?
it a little bit bigger, but that's about it.
Right. Well, you buy the Shamu Nexus 6,
Yeah,
right?
something like.
Um, which I'm surprised you haven't bought yet.
Well, I'm looking at the Galaxy 4, so.
You're looking at that. But so I think that, if we could give every kid an entry-level smartphone and have access to a multitude of other devices, that would be the perfect thing. And I said it before when when we were moving towards one-to-one and then the SBAC came out. If SBAC hadn't have come out, I really think that I think a 7-inch or 8-inch tablet um, for every kid makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been working with the iPad Mini, and I really like the iPad Mini as a device.
Hmm.
It's a go-to device. I go to it much more
Yeah.
um, than I would the other regular iPad.
Right. And the reason I thought that at the time, and I probably still do, is because I think a lot of what we do in school is content consumption,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's content from the internet or content from a book. It's still a lot of content consumption and searching for content. And the creation piece is really, especially on a mini, that's kind of where things fall down. So I see a tablet as an awesome consumption device and multimedia device, and a clamshell is where you want to be doing your writing and your composing and your, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I guess bigger thinking,
Well,
because the keyboard does make a difference. The bigger screen does make a difference.
and this is where it comes to the point is when we sit there and we have these conversations about what's better as a device, and usually it comes from the point of in IT, it comes from the point of what's better to manage, what's easier to manage. And you sit there and you look at, well, what, and I think Apple and all the other, and Google and all the other tech companies really need to sit down and take a look at this from that perspective is what's better from the student's point of view, what's better from the program point of view that they're in, and how does it make it use better? And if we can just get to the point where these devices are considered tools,
Hmm.
they're just tools. It's like a pen and paper, whiteboard, whatever you put in your classroom. It's not technology. It's a tool to do the job. And I think we can say we're at the point where we can have multiple tools to do the job because you go to any industry, you do have multiple tools to get the job done. And it led to a point where I was having with our principal at the school. I said, I think what we need more in our school is not, we were talking about putting another computer lab or, having access to a mobile car. I said, I think what we need is not necessarily a computer lab, but we need workspace, a
Hmm.
place for students and teachers can come together with possibly more than one class
Hmm.
size in the same room, having the ability to have if technology if they wanted to, or paper, or tables, large tables to group around, gather around, or to do projects in. We need something like that more than I need more
Well,
technology.
it's those collaboratives. It's a collaborative space.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need collaborative space more, and I think of any value being able to use tools as collaborative spaces. And you see
Well,
that big push with Google and with Microsoft 365 now, or Office 365, that they're pushing collaborative more than
hmm.
they're pushing anything else.
Well, and I do think that's a really good point, because one of the things we're actually looking at in my district is taking our existing libraries and expanding them out to create these kind of collaborative spaces with makerspace and the, basically taking away the concept of a computer lab and kind of expanding it to be
Collaboration lab.
a collaboration space, yeah, that's much more flexible and exactly has those kind of things. Like if we have Chromebooks in every classroom, then that collaboration space may have iPads and MacBooks and iMacs and you know a whole bunch of other devices that you could go in, take 2 or 3 classes or one class or whatever, and do collaborative projects, do
And,
multimedia projects, and all that kind of stuff.
and the technology still needs to be there. We still need our Wi-Fi. We still need our big monitors or projectors, or in some cases, you might even need a whiteboard or two.
Mm-hmm.
or a smart board or two. But
No, redact that. I'm redacting that from this podcast.
well,
No,
I mean,
actually, you know what? What I'm looking at, they're expensive, but
hmm
for those kind of collaboration spaces, there's three things I want to do now.
is that
So
the
the
table?
fall, no, check this out. The fall keynote guy,
Yeah.
the first keynote, he showed a video with kids. They project to the floor, and then
hmm
they all sit around, and so the presentation is on the floor, but they're all around in this kind of a semicircle or circle, interacting with the presentation that way.
hmm
So that's one. I want to have a big open space with concrete where I can project onto the floor. Second one, David Thornburg. You've seen, he blew my mind at Q many years ago.
hmm
But he has this concept of this immersive learning environment where they actually take like a 10 by 16 section of wall and they project onto it, and then you get to do the cool things like Google Earth and Google Mars and all that, the 3D interactive type stuff where
Yeah.
you're navigating through. But because the image is so big, it's kind of like being in an IMAX, right? You're immersive.
hmm
So there's that. And then the third piece that I want to bring into these spaces really is probably going to be some type of interactive TV display, but those things are like super expensive. But
hmm
at least having one that is touch based, kid height, where they can interact with the screen with multiple users.
Oh yeah, so I think having those sort of tools inside an environment really would lend. I mean, I think the kids will jump more on that. Having that aspect, be able to collaborate with each other in that environment is really cool. One of the things I know you said smartboard no, but I like the best thing about the smartboard is that it captures you can capture the collaboration. And
Yeah,
one of the things I saw is
I'm
similar
gonna
to
say
your
yuck.
idea. They had a big table, whiteboard-like table, and the projector was on the table, and it was a short throw, and projected, and the kids were able to gather around the whole table and work with it. And they did this where they could turn the projection around so they can orient the orientation of the.
Hmm.
So they just swiped it, and the orientation moved with it, which was really cool. So.
I think the pricing needs to come down on all that
Oh yeah,
interactive
right.
stuff.
It does definitely need to come down.
I
But
don't often buy interactive whiteboards, but when I do, I buy Eno. I like the Eno stuff. It's a slightly different take on it because it puts the interactivity in the pen.
and it
And
needs to be easy.
yeah,
I mean, so simple to easy. I mean, that's one of the things I like about the Extron stuff. It's push button easy.
well, that's why you need a 50-inch iPad.
Well, there you go, 15-inch
I mean,
iPad, or
that's really
that big old iPair tablet they show on TV sometimes.
yeah. But I mean, why not? I'm sure Apple could do a 50-inch iPad. They probably have them in their little secret works lab. There's the resolution would
Probably.
suck, but just well, because everybody understands that interface,
hmm
um,
It's the
so
whole flick and the hand gesture and just.
hmm I really like my Leap Motion. I still play around with that every once in a while as a 3D interactive space.
hmm
Hand gesture control. It's pretty neat, and it was only $90. I mean, it was cheap. So. All right. Well, I know you got to run off and do whatever you do at
You're going to try. Oh, ETC coming up on February 28th.
February 28th.
Is
I don't think I signed up for that, although I did get a personal appeal. Maybe I should check my email.
But it's a Saturday, so it's about $80. It's going to be held at Stanislaus. CSU
Right, I remember
Stanislaus this
seeing
year.
that. It's a change of
Venue
venue.
change,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Mhm.
it's hopefully get a lot of people from the Merced area go to that one, and we'll see if all the people from Gregory High School actually drive down to Turlock to see if they.
Mm.
But,
Yeah, because I mean, that's usually like an 800-person event, so it's pretty impressive. Um, I got to figure out what I can present on. I just don't have that much to present on anymore.
Well, I think they left unless they personally invited you to present.
Yeah, no, I've got an email sitting in my
All right.
queue that I need to respond to. But
Email Luke.
yeah, I know.
But
All
Allison
right,
and I got selected, so we'll be presenting.
cool. Well, I'm trying to encourage more of my teachers to get out and present. I think it's
Mhm.
a valuable experience, and it's always good to get out and share, especially now in this collaborative culture where we're trying to build connections. So,
Definitely.
all right, I'll have to eat my own dog food and look at that. But I've been presenting like I think this month I was out. Was out half the month. It's a crazy month, man. And then next month is SETPA. I'll be there
Yep.
for the. Are you? I'm going to the pre-conference, the leadership event.
No, I got admin stuff on it,
Uh,
so I can't
Lovely
make it.
admin stuff. And then what's happening? Yeah, that's pretty much. Hopefully things will settle down after that. All right. Well, this has been another episode of Small School Big Tech, and you can catch it at smallschoolbigtech.com. All the back episodes where we actually did spend quite a bit of time talking about devices. And you can catch me at Twitter on Another Schwab, and Mike is All You Are Baser, and we'll be back at some undisclosed time in the future to record another episode. So thanks, Mike, for
Thank
hopping
you.
on this morning, and I will roll the music.